Rural America came out in force for President Trump in 2024. No wonder, after his predecessor's obsession with climate change and the climate made-up crisis, his failure to advocate for American agriculture, we're talking about Joe Biden, backed farmers into a corner.
And now, tariffs aim to level the playing field or the farming field, even if there's some anxiety over export crops like corn and soybeans. The America First Policy Institute is looking to help, launching a Farmers First agenda program.
For more, let's bring in America First Policy Institute Vice Chair Kip Tom. Kip, great to see you. What does this entail, like real-world actionable items? Give me one, and don't tell me money from the federal government, because we're running a $2 trillion deficit this year and $37 trillion in debt. So I'm just marking that off the list for now.
Yeah, we're not asking for money. What we're asking for to make sure is we reshore our supply chains for agriculture from the foreign adversaries that we work with today, bring those back home to make sure we're a food secure nation. In the meanwhile, that creates jobs and great opportunities in rural America. So really optimistic about that. At the same time, when you talk about cutting money, we want to talk about right sizing and reorienting government. None of the DEI or ESG or climate agendas need to be a part of it anymore. Let's get back to business and let's empower agriculture to make sure we're a bigger part of the GDP of the United States and make agriculture great again.
You know, this is the next level for them, of course, to go after the freeze and what it means. This upending, as they claim, of agricultural research on Reuters in their tariff report. But for so long, big agriculture has been controlling the fields, using the money, changing fields, for example, from corn to ethanol instead of food production to other products production, not to mention all the work, the questionable work with GMO versus non-GMO. So what's really going on here? Is it upending, or do we need to right-size it?
You know, I think we right-size USDA, but when you talk about research, you know, I think that USDA is going to stay on game. They're going to make sure that they provide the amount of research to make sure that we can, as the current example is our chicken flock around the country. We've got some real issues there. In terms of innovations in agriculture, we need to continue to strive to increase the rate of innovation, whether it's in the private sector or the government, but it's the private sector's job to do that. They're the one with the intellectual property. They're the ones with the knowledge and the money. Let them develop, whether it's new GM crops or whether it's new crop care chemistries. Or again, part of our energy dominance in this country now is due to us using 10 to like to be 15% of our transportation fuel needs to come from ethanol. So it's not subsidized today, but yet it helps agriculture, and that's the only way we're going to compete. I just came back from Brazil 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you from not being there for 10 years, they're on a fast track to move into the world markets. Right. And our only competition with them is if we add value. So I look forward to continuing to ramp up our ability to innovate.
Kip, really quickly, any concern about the freezing of agricultural research at U.S. universities? Because I mentioned it, the intellectual property, if they, from U.S. grants, the universities keep it. But any concern from an agricultural perspective about that?
Well, we need both functioning, right? We got to have the private sector doing this, and they're the ones spending the big money. Some of them are spending upwards of $15 to $20 million in total per day on research and development. That's why we've seen a lot of these mergers. But when you come back to the universities, I think we need to make sure we hold them accountable for what they're doing and what they're delivering.
Kip Tom, thank you, sir. Great to see you. Kip.